What you doing?
Hey, just finishing this claim to get Dave back on the road.
Nice. I wonder what Dave's doing.
You do your thing. We've got you covered.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 354th episode of the Alfa Insurance Georgia Prep Sports Drive for the GHSA State Title. We talked a little bit about gymnastics last week, but today we're going to be joined by Carrollton's head coach, Nicki McGovern. She is going to talk about the Trojan season and obviously the upcoming state meet this week at Buford. I'm excited to learn about what's been going on this gymnastics season. Then we'll talk some baseball. Look at the soccer playoffs. The matchups have been set. And then we'll close out the show talking about some of the successes we saw in the Georgia and Georgia Tech spring games with some of these newcomers and some of the previous top recruits from Georgia doing their thing. But let's go ahead and get started with Coach McGovern right now. One sec. Coach, can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on. So I wanted to start talking about this year's season. Obviously, you guys had a great run last year. You've had a ton of really special gymnasts come through this program, but talk a little bit about this year's team and what you've seen throughout the season.
Yes, this year we have started our season with a focus. These girls really want to go in and represent Carrollton High School well. We have 4 seniors this year. 2 of them are starting 4 at the preliminary meet. You can only compete 4 gymnasts. So we have Abby Pike and Raiden Beard, who are seniors. And then we have Kendall New and Aaron Entrington. And then we have Cadence McKenzie that will join us on some events, and Hayden Patterson. So we've got a pretty deep lineup. And we've had a couple of injuries this season, so we can pull the next gymnast up, and that's always helpful.
Okay, so you're talking about some of the injuries. I want to ask you just how many meets have you guys competed in so far this year?
We've had 7 meets so far, and we have the preliminary meet on Wednesday at Buford.
Okay, and so I think I was looking at, you had a big meet at Westminster. Was that Kendall New finished first in the all-around?
Correct. Yes, that is correct. Kendall is a junior for us this year, so we expect great. Just competed in the USAG regional meet in Florida this week and had a lot of success there. So we're excited to see how well she.
Yep, and then I was looking at, I guess, the team page on your website. You guys have a JV program as well. How common is that throughout the state with these gymnastics programs?
We do have a JV program. We allow our 8th graders to compete up with us, and then we have several high school girls. Our team has about 22 to 24 gymnasts. We try to make sure that we rotate all of our gymnasts through and at least compete JV with us a couple of times during the season. So when and if we need them on the varsity level, we're able to get them in to compete 3 meets. We have to compete 3 meets at the varsity level in order to compete for the Georgia High School preliminary meet.
Okay, and then I've covered gymnastics. I've been to a bunch of the state meets before, but is Carrollton, are you guys still searching for your first state title?
It would be our first state title, yes. We've finished runner-up the past 2 years, and this senior class is qualified. They only take the top 4 teams in 6A, 7A. So they've qualified the past 3 years. So our hope is that we go in and we hit our routines, and that we qualify for on Friday as well.
Okay, and refresh me on how the qualifying works. I know if a gymnast gets a certain mark in a specific event, like let's say the floor routine or the vault, they will be able to qualify individually, but what's the team threshold to be able to be one of those 4 teams, and is that something that's going to be determined on Wednesday?
Yes. In order to go to the meet on Wednesday, you have to. Our meets we're ranked throughout the season, so they average the top 3 scores. And so, if you're in the top 8 rankings, you qualify for the meet on Wednesday. In order to qualify for the state meet on Friday, you need to finish in the top 4, and or the top. To be honest, I'm not sure if it's 6 or 8 individuals. My focus is always on team, so I want to go in this team, and then if our individuals qualify, that's icing on the cake.
Gotcha. And then I think I was looking at it. So Kendall, some of her standout performances this year, I think she maybe it was the Westminster meet, but she won in the floor, the vault, and then the all around. So how confident are you just with her in each of these events?
I'm extremely confident in Kendall. I know I can count on Kendall to go in and give 100% in everything she does. She practices very well, and she will follow that adage of if you practice how you compete. She does that very well. Last season, she scored a perfect 10 on the floor at a regular season meet. So this year, she has scored several 9-9. So her goal, we would like to see her go and hit that perfect routine for us.
Yep, and then last year, I know Buford took the title. They've become quite a program. I can't remember her name. Was it Marissa maybe? But she was phenomenal. I think.
Yes, Marissa Ashton. Yes.
Marissa Ashton. She ended up winning, I think, National Gymnast of the Year. How many of these girls are competing in these national gymnastics events as well as the GHSA season?
Kendall, we have a couple of girls that compete at the club level, but Kendall is our highest level gymnast that we have. We have several others that compete as well. We're not like all 4 of our girls don't compete at the club level. Even all 7 of our girls. So we get them in January, and they work hard to be able to go in and help us qualify and represent Trojan Nation well.
And then this past season, was that Kalani Weatherspoon at state? Was she the one that won the 4 for you guys?
Yes, Kalani has been. She's just a powerhouse athlete. Whatever Kalani touches, she does well. Right now, she's at the University of North Carolina on a track scholarship. My plan Saturday is after we host the state meet Friday night, I'm going to go to Georgia Tech and watch her run on Saturday. So.
Yeah, I remember seeing
and
her.
Still give her the support.
Yeah, and I just want to point that out to the audience. She might be the first athlete I've ever seen to win a state title in a gymnastics event and the 100-meter hurdles in the same year. That is unbelievable. So she was definitely special. So who have you seen this year for you guys that's really been all-state level at the floor event?
Okay, I'm going to have to ask you to repeat that. I'm sorry.
So Kalani won the overall state title last year in the floor. Who has been the standout, I guess, or standouts for you guys this season in the floor event specifically?
Erin Minchkin will be she's one of our gymnasts that was hurt and is going to come back. She came back and competed in her third last week. Scored really well. Kendall will. We'll also have Abby Pike and Reagan Bearden. Those will be our 4 girls. All of them are capable of doing really, really well.
And then obviously we mentioned Buford last year. They had Marissa. She ended up winning the all-around, dominated. She's since graduated. But how would you feel about this year's team compared to last year? Have you guys taken a next step forward?
I do believe this year's team has the drive. State runner-up. They won state runner-up the past 2 years, so they really have the desire and drive to go in and hit their routines. All we can do is prepare and do the best that we can do, and hope that the scores fall where they will, and that will come out successful.
And then walk us through this season. You've had the 7 meets, just some of the girls that have had those really high marks in each event and have the potential to lead you guys cumulatively to a team state title.
Cadence McKenzie is not an all-around gymnast for us. She competes team for us. She will come in and do well. She has a good bit of bonus in her routine that helps. The routines start at a 9.2. You have to earn 8 bonus. And her routine will start out with a 10.0, so that's always exciting to have the routines that go in and start with the 10.0 start value. Of course, the girls that I've mentioned previously as well. We're adding Kaden Patterson on vault. She just recently added a Yurchenko vault to her lineup. And so that will help us to have flippers. We do have Miracle Cox, who flippers on vault, but we have Miracle Cox as well that will compete vault for us, and we expect great things out of her as well.
And then this year, it looks like you guys, as a assistant coach, a co-head coach, she's a Trojans alum, so I know she's a proud Carrollton fan, but also leader for these girls. Talk about just how the school has emphasized the importance of having a strong gymnastics program.
LA and I are co-head coaches this season. We've coached together for 10 years. We basically finish one another's sentences. LA is a very technical coach. He knows the ins and outs of gymnastics. We also have Allie Trent that coaches with us, and Allie is also a very technical coach. They're both great assets. We're really blessed here in Carrollton to have the personnel we need to have our athletes be successful. So both of them bring a lot to the table.
Mm-hmm. And then what have you seen the key being this season for having a successful meet? Is it just keeping the girls focused, maybe taking some of the pressure off them, or how have you seen them perform their best?
Okay, I'm going to have to get you to repeat that one as well. It's breaking up just a bit, so I'm not getting the complete question here.
No problem, Coach. I was saying this season, and obviously the stakes are raising, they're getting higher with state on the line, but what do you feel like the key to success is? Is it keeping them focused, 100% dialed in, or maybe alleviating some of the pressure, getting them excited, and having fun out there?
Absolutely. At the high school level, we focus, of course, on doing our best, hitting our routines. We have 4 seniors. This group is there. Hopefully, this will be their 4th year to go. So that helps go in. We have former gymnasts, talk with them and stay in touch with them. And by the time Wednesday gets here, it is time to go in and do what as I tell them, you do your gymnastics. You do what you can do with your great time. The girls that don't compete, we have fat heads made. We have all kinds of stuff. And it's so important to our girls competing to have their teammates behind them, encouraging, and they love that side of it all. And, that's one thing when Kalani, I'll use her as an example, when she started from the club level and came over to the high school level, in her first meet, she ran off the floor and she hugged me and she's like, oh my gosh, that was so much fun. Just having the team atmosphere, where in the club level, it's a lot of individual pressure. So having that team environment is really big in the gymnastics world, and these girls really feed off one another.
Yep, and then obviously you guys had spring break recently. You are coming off the weekend right now, but what's this week's schedule going to look like for you guys heading into, obviously, Wednesday?
Right. We'll practice today and tomorrow. My plan today is for us to come in, warm up like we would in the qualifying meet. Hopefully the plan is get a routine, go to the next event, warm up, get a routine. Let's go in and not overdo ourselves. Compete, let us, we need to tweak some things here and there, do that, and then get in and get out of practice.
Yep, and you've seen the growth of the sport over the years, more teams getting involved. North Oconee hosting meets now, but what's your overall take on the support and the talent level of gymnastics in the state of Georgia?
We went to that North Oconee meeting. It was a great meeting. Corey did a great job hosting that meeting. Amanda Allen always does a great job for us at the state level at Blue Buford. Our sport has grown tremendously. I've been around for a very long time, so I've seen a lot of growth, and even in how we go. We used to have sectionals, and everybody went to qualifying, and then now we're the average scores and ranked in your top 8. So it helps moving the meet along, and it gets those top tier gymnasts in there to compete. And we have so many teams in our area, in the West Georgia area, that have added teams. Bremen and Central and Florida and Bowden all have teams, which helps us to be able to compete locally. But then we also like to go out and see those Forsyth County teams. We've heard North Oconee is not in our division, but they're always a fun team to watch. So we, this sport has grown tremendously, and it's great to see.
Yes, it has. And covering over the years, we've seen the Forsyth area has always had great participation numbers. I've seen them at state a bunch, obviously the Buford area, but you're talking about specifically around Carrollton. You guys seem to be the flagship program, but you have seen over the years and recent seasons more of these local programs get started up.
Yeah, I'm really having a difficult time.
No problem. It's a little quiet. But you were saying Bremen has a program now. What else have you seen around the Carrollton area, just in the recent seasons, them getting into the sport?
Correct. Yes, Bremen does have a great team. They're ranked second in their division. I expect them to do very, very, very well. I like to see all the teams in our area be successful. Bremen, on the other hand, their head Griffin is one of our former gymnasts, so we're really pulling for them to do well. And that's always fun to see girls that we coached and see them go on and be successful. Chattahoochee's coach is one of our former gymnasts, so that's always exciting and fun to watch.
Yep, and so you were talking about the rankings. Is that something that they've always had posted heading into the state meet?
No, that's something that either the past 2 or 3 years, Georgia High School has just started that ranking system. So it helps you to know going in where you stand in the rankings and whether you're going to only take the top 8 teams. So we try to strategically plan our meets at the beginning of the season to where we get a meet in at the end of the season in case we need that score to help us land into the top 8. We've been lucky the past couple of years that we've had the talent and the work ethic and drive to not be down there, but it's all some strategy in there to make sure you get the meets in when you need them, to make sure that you qualify and rank in that top 8.
That's right. And so you're number 3 right now in 7A, one of the best regardless of any classification. So that's a 109.150 mark. Is that just a result of the best I guess, scores you guys have accumulated throughout the year, or is it from specific meets?
Yes, that's correct. They take they average your top 3 scores. So we've scored anywhere from a 111.8 down, it just depends. That's the average of our scores, our top 3 scores. So, our girls have a goal in mind where they would like what they'd like to get, and they all set individual goals for themselves on each event, and so we kind of work toward to make sure that our execution and things will be projected well enough to earn the scores we feel like will help us move on to the state meet.
Okay, and then Kendall, she's going to be competing for the all-around, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, so
and if we get Kendall New to hit all 4 events, of course.
That's right. And then real quick, just on Wednesday, just walk us through who's going to be participating for you guys on the floor, the vault, beams, and what did I miss? The bars.
Vault, bars, beam, floor.
Yes. Walk us through who's going to be participating in each event for you guys.
On the vault, we'll have Miracle Cox, Caden Patterson, Abby Pike, and Kendall New. On beam, we'll have Reagan Bearden, Cadence McKenzie, Abby Pike, and Kendall New. On bars, we'll have Aaron Intrican, Reagan Bearden, Abby Pike, Kendall New. And then on the floor exercise, we'll have Reagan Bearden, Abby Pike, Aaron Intrican, and Kendall New. You see Kendall's our anchor on every event.
That's right. And so compared to last year, is there more or less girls that are competing at state?
We have more individuals coming in, like Miracle is, she's not one of our all-around girls. She's just competing for us. Cadence is just competing being for us. So we, some years we've had the same 4 girls on all 4 events. And this year we have pulled in some different girls that have worked hard and earned their spot in the lineup.
Okay. And then last question, one more time, who was the girl you had mentioned that was coming back from an injury, and then walk us through how long that recovery time was?
Okay, I'm going to get you to ask that one more time. I think you said something about an injury, but I wasn't positive.
Yeah, you were mentioning maybe it was Hayden or Abby, maybe Miracle. You mentioned they were coming off an injury. Can you describe just how long that recovery process was and when they were able to come back full strength?
Right. Aaron Intrican got hurt in our second meet of the season on the second event, and pretty severe. A pretty wicked ankle injury, and so she was out about 5 or 6 weeks. In the past 2 weeks, she's worked really hard. Their doctor worked with our athletic trainers at our high school and helped rehab her really well. She has science and healthcare is one of her elective classes. So I emailed that teacher and like, hey, get Erin in the game ready, get her, so they're being so beneficial and helpful in getting her prepared to come back. She is an all-around gymnast, but this meet she's only going to compete bars and floor for us. And so that's been it was a great asset to have her back in the lineup.
Absolutely. And then obviously Buford won last year. You guys finished runner-up, but do you guys have a rivalry laser focus on yourself this week?
Our goal and focus always is to do the best that we can do. We got to prepare. We got to be prepared in practice to then carry that over to a meet. And so our goal is to go out and represent Carrollton High School, Trojan Athletics, and themselves. And of course, you're always going to watch the Bufords and the North Forsyths that are good, but we just got to go in and hit and do what we can do and hope that the scores fall our way.
Yep. And then have you gone up against North Forsyth this season yet?
Correct.
And was that the Westminster meet or the North Oconee?
Yeah, I heard you said Westminster meet or North Oconee, but I'm going to get you to run that one by me again.
Yeah, sorry. Have you gone head-to-head with North Forsyth yet this season?
We have gone head-to-head with Buford at the North Oconee, and so that helped our girls just to see what their skills are. But once again, it can't affect what we do. We got to be the best we can be. Our goal is to go in and hit all 4 events. I think if we hit all our events, then they should see some success.
You bet. Well, we will be rooting for you guys. Thank you so much for coming on, Coach. We really appreciate it. Can't wait to see this state meet. It's going to be very exciting. Lots of powerhouses. Best of luck on Wednesday and then later this week, Coach.
Thank you.
You bet. Thanks for sticking with us. I know some of the connection was bad, but we really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, so there goes Coach McGovern. So it's going to be very interesting to see if anyone is able to top Buford. Yeah, it was hard to keep track of this season's schedules. I saw some of the meets, but a lot of the times you'll see them like tweet out, hey, this girl finished first and that. It was a great runner-up finish, but you don't know who came in first. I guess in previous seasons it was a little easier to find. So we learned a lot in that segment. I think the big thing is these rankings. This is a new concept that takes the best 3 scores, not just team scores, but from individual qualifiers in these events. They're going to have a ton of girls competing on Wednesday to try to get into that top 4, provide the depth, and then the anchor, as she was pointing out, was Kendall New, the junior. She is the only Trojan that's going to be eyeing a potential all-around title. She's already, in previous meets this season, placed first in the floor, the vault, and the all-around. So I guess the beam would be an event. I don't know if she's won an individual first place in that particular event, but she has won the all-around, so she's obviously scoring well in that also. Looks like the most Trojans that Coach McGovern was saying would compete in any event was the vault. I think she named 4 or 5, but this season Buford has an average top 3 of 111.992, and then second place is North Forsyth, and then Carrollton's right below them at number 3. The other top 8 teams so far are Noonan, West Forsyth, Forsyth Central, East Coweta, and then Walton at number 8. Then in Class A through 5A, North Oconee, I believe they're aiming for their 5th straight title. They've dominated the lower classifications. I think they've won every single one. It used to be, if my memory serves correct, it used to be just one classification. It split about 4 or 5 years ago, but North Oconee is at 110.90, their score for this season. If you combine both classifications, that would put them at number 2 overall, slightly above North Forsyth, and then Bremen would actually be right below Carrollton. So they have had a tremendous year. We'll see if Bremen can dethrone North Oconee, who has a grip on that region, and then obviously topping Buford at Buford would be quite an accomplishment for any team, especially Carrollton, which is seeking revenge from last year. Should be a lot of fun. We'll have coverage of that at scoreatl.com this week, including a preview of the action and coverage as soon as it is completed. But that is it for the first segment. Let's go ahead and take a break and thank our sponsors.
Hey, is the power off on this?
I don't know. Just take it off.
Safety violation, unsafe work conditions.
In the construction trades unions, safety is our highest priority, and we train you to recognize and speak out on unsafe working conditions so that everyone arrives and goes home safely. Learn about careers in construction at georgiaconstructioncareers.com.
All right, welcome back. So let's get into the soccer first round matchups. They have been set. They will start on Wednesday as well in the boys Class 7A. So some of the big matchups you're going to have, let's look at it real quick. Mountain View against Walton. Walton finished runner-up last year. They lost 4-3 to Lambert in the championship. The girls lost in the championship as well. Mountain View is the number 4 seed out of Region 8. And last year they fell in the first round 5-1 to Mountain View. Team that's been doing very well this season is Brookwood. They were upset in the second round last year to Richmond Hill 3-2. This year they will be having to travel to Colquitt County in the first round. So it'll be a long trip for Brookwood, who fell down to the number 4 seed out of Region 4. You have South Forsyth hosting North Gwinnett. You got Lowndes traveling up to Grayson. Grayson earned the top seed. They've had a phenomenal season, had a really strong push late. Discovery, the number 1 seed, will play Denmark. And then you got Camden County at Archer. Carrollton's going to travel to Hillgrove, and then Milton and Peachtree Ridge. That's some of the 7A boys matchups. Let's look at Class 6A real quick. St. Pius, a phenomenal team. They fell all the way to the number 3 seed, so they're going to have to go to Thomas County Central in the first round. Let's pull up last year, looking at St. Pius real quick. Last year, St. Pius made it to the Elite 8, where they were topped by eventual state champion Lassiter 3-1. Lassiter, the defending state champs, are the number 3 seed this year. They're going to have to travel to Sequoia in the first round, and they will play the winner of Lanier and South Paulding. Also, you're going to have Marist hosting Houston County. It's actually a rematch of this year's second round, I believe, state playoffs in football. Blessed Trinity, a very dangerous number 4 seed, they are going to travel to River Ridge in the first round. River Ridge is the team that lost last year to Lassiter 3-2. And this Blessed Trinity River Ridge game is a rematch of last year's semifinals, where River Ridge won 4-1. So that is a big time matchup in the first round. Familiar opponents. All right, let's look at 5A real quick. On the boys' side in 5A, Dalton was the dominant team. They've been the powerhouse. They won last year 2-0 over Midtown, an emergent Midtown program. Midtown's going to host Eastside as the number 1 seed out of Region 5. I'm just making sure they're on opposite sides. No, they aren't. They're both on the left side. They would not rematch until the semifinals, but Dalton is the number 2 seed this year. They're going to host Kell in the first round, and then they have a potential matchup in the second round with Clark Central, who earned the number 1 seed out of Region 8. Last year, Clark Central fell to Midtown in the second round, so the state runner-up. So should be a tough matchup. We'll see if Dalton can match up. They have not had to go on the road too often. Cambridge is going to visit Cass. You got Chapel Hill at Jefferson. Coffee is going to have to travel up to Tucker, the number 1 seed out of Region 4. And then you also have Decatur and Greenbrier should be another key matchup. All right, let's look at 4A real quick. In Class 4A boys, last year it was a thriller. Johnson Gainesville won 4-2 over Westminster. This year Westminster's once again a number 1 seed. They're going to host Heritage Catoosa in the first round. If they win that game, they will play the winner of Cherokee Bluff and Lovett. So you could see a Lovett Westminster Classic in the second round. Obviously one of the best rivalries anywhere in the state. You also have Johnson Gainesville, the defending champs, will host Stockbridge in the first round. They will play the winner of Druid Hills and Cedartown. North Oconee, who fell to the state champs last year in the semifinals, is going to see where they're paired up real quick. Had it a second ago. 1 second. Let's see. Region 8. Okay, North Oconee. This is news to me. So North Oconee, who made it to the semifinals last year. As a number 4 seed, actually missed out on the playoffs this year. So Region 8, Cedar Shoals took the number 4 seed. They're going to play Pace Academy in the first round. That is the biggest region. It's 10 teams in all of Class 4A, and then you're going to have East Forsyth as a number 2 seed. That is a big jump forward for that program. So definitely watch out for Region 2. North Oconee missing out on the playoffs. That is pretty interesting. All right, so let's look at the girls' matchups really quick. All right, you're going to have Parkview at Lowndes in the first round. You got a nice Cobb County battle between Marietta and Campbell. Duluth and Denmark. Collins Hill at Walton. Camden County at Archer. Milton at Norcross. Wheeler at Buford. South Gwinnett at Richmond Hill. North Paulding at East Coweta. Peachtree Ridge at West Forsyth. Colquitt at Brookwood. So it's a reverse. The Brookwood boys have to go to Colquitt. The Colquitt girls have to go to Brookwood. And then Carrollton at Harrison. Last year in Class 7A, Denmark had a 1-0 win over Walton in the finals. This year, Denmark's the number 2 seed. As we mentioned, they will host Duluth. And then if Denmark and Walton both win in the first round, they will play a rematch of last year's state championship in the second round. Be very interesting right there, and that game would be at Walton. All right, in Class 6A, on the girls' side, Roswell defeated Marist 2-0 last year for the state title. It was a big win for Roswell. They had a great spring last year, winning in lacrosse, and then obviously the big soccer state title this year. Roswell will host Creekview as a number 2 seed in the first round. You're going to have St. Pius going on the road to Veterans, Etowah at Pope. Marist is going to host Lee County on the other side of the bracket. You also have Johns Creek against Allatoona, and then Riverwood at Thomas County Central. In Class 5A, Tucker at Statesboro, rematch of last year's football, I believe, Elite 8. You got GAC is going to host Woodland Cartersville. Eastside's going to be at Midtown, should be a great matchup. You have Chattahoochee at Cartersville, Tri-Cities at Jefferson. Chambly ended up getting the number 1 seed. They're obviously last year's defending state champ. They're going to host Coffee. You also have Northview at Dalton. So Dalton is lurking in that same region that same quadrant as Chambly. Clark Central at Villarica, and then Calhoun against Cambridge. This goes out with 4A on the girls' side real fast. So Westminster won at 2-1 over North Oconee last year. Big win for Westminster. They're going to host Sonoraville in the first round. If Westminster wins, they'll play the winner of Johnson Gainesville and Pace Academy. So that'd be a major matchup in the second round. If you watched last week's show, Najee had Lovett's head coach on. They are having such a good season. They're absolutely demolishing everyone. One of the few games where someone did score a few goals on them was Pace Academy. If that rematch comes later, it would not come until the state championship, but that is still a possibility. For 2 seeds out of Region 5, so they're on opposite sides of the bracket. Lovett's going to host Seconder in the first round. You're going to have Trinity Christian at Shaw, Baldwin at Islands, Hampton at Cherokee Bluff. Cherokee Bluff made a run last year, and then Stars Mills, another interesting program to watch out for. They're going to host Hardaway as the number 1 seed, and you got Luella at North Oconee. So lots of big-time matchups. I really like the potential of a Walton Denmark in the second round. That would be a big-time test for them. See how they handle that. All right, so let's go back to some of the local news. So last week we mentioned Chris Kirk. He was the Woodstock product that was making his return to the Masters. The best finish he had ever had. I think it was 2 separate times he finished tied for 20th. So I think it was 7 Masters appearances. He never finished better than that. He had the roller coaster first round where he had, I think, just as many birdies as bogeys, but then a double bogey at the end really hurt him. He was 2 over, but then he ended up tying for 16th this year. So the 88th Masters, he finished at 2 over par, a tie for 16th place, his best overall finish, and that is a big accomplishment for him. So after having his roller coaster first 2 rounds, the Etowah high school product and University of Georgia grad was 2 over for the day, making bogeys on the par 3 4th, par 3 5th, and then things began to turn around once he reached the 8th hole. I told the MDJ after it, he said, overall, I played some great golf Saturday specifically. I played okay Sunday. Would have liked to gotten a few more on the back 9 there, but the course is playing so difficult. Everyone can see it's not easy. It was definitely a day where I feel like I could have gotten a couple under instead of 1 over. But all in all, especially after 6 holes on Friday, I was 7 over for the tournament. I think if you had asked me right then, I would have taken a top 20 and where I'm at. Kirk, the former Etowah and UGA standout, was 2 over on the day, making bogeys on the par 3 4th, par 3 5th. He was out of position after his tee shot went to the trees, but still found a way to make a birdie. Yeah, that was a miracle birdie, Kirk said. I hit it in the left trees and chipped out, hit a 5-wood to within 25 to 30 feet, and had a putt that I just hit it halfway and played about 15 feet of break, and it happened to go right in the middle. That was a very cool highlight and bonus. Taking advantage of the good break, he used his newfound momentum to his advantage on number 9 and 10. 4 great shots on 9 and 10, Kirk said. Got a little lucky with my drive on 9. I pulled it a little left, but it got through over the trees, and a great wedge shot there, a great putt, and then a beautiful 8-iron in there to 2 feet on 10. It was nice. Kirk gave a shot back on the 11th and was 1 over for the tournament when he reached the par 3 16th. Unfortunately, he hit it out of position and 3-putted for a bogey. The lost shot dropped him out of the top 12, which would have earned him an automatic invitation to next year's Masters. That would have been nice to go ahead and know that you're coming back for sure. I was just trying to hit some good shots. I would have loved to have gotten a few more birdies. 16 kind of stings a bit, making a bogey. It was a really bad number for me, and I got caught between clubs trying to hammer an 8-iron and hung it right out a little bit. Hit 2 good putts and then tapped in for bogey. It is what it is. It's a fine line out there. Kirk came into the Masters ranked 27th in the world, and he can earn an invitation back to Augusta National with a win, or if he finishes the season ranked in the top 50. Overall, I'm happy with how I'm playing. I'm looking forward to hopefully improving a little bit in Hilton Head next week. So keep track of him. He will be back, and that is his best ever finish. So that is big time. All right, so this weekend, people have asked me, how good is North Cobb Christian at baseball this year? Well, they are phenomenal, and so is their big rival, Mount Perrin, and both of them were featured in Truist Park this weekend. A big honor for them. The 2 private schools out of Cobb County getting to play where the Braves do. So North Cobb Christian's team remained undefeated at Truist Park after a dramatic come-from-behind 4-3 victory over Southside Christian. The Eagles rallied with 3 runs in the bottom of the 6th to bounce back from a 3-1 deficit, with Michael Molinak's single driving in JD for the winning run. North Cobb improved to 3-0-1 in 4 games it has played at the Atlanta Braves home field since the 2021 season. The Eagles overcame a team-wide illness and a strong performance by Southside pitcher Carson Bowman, who gave up only 1 run and 4 hits and had 7 strikeouts in 4 1/3 pitched. Our entire team has had the stomach bug for a week and a half, so I don't think any of our team has felt great, said the head coach Jimmy Keene, but they battled the whole time. Southside had a great pitcher. The kid absolutely dominated. He did phenomenal job. Kind of found a way to put out some runners on base at the end, which was huge. Getting the run across in the fourth was a breath of fresh air. And then we were able to get those last few and get the win. It is good to stay resilient despite the fact that none of our kids probably felt good. It was the fourth year in a row that North Cobb Christian had played a regular season game at Truist Park. The Eagles have won the last 3 after tying the first game in 2021. Jackson Ugla, the son of former Braves second baseman Dan Ugla, led off the bottom of the 6th with a single, while Hudson, Newell, and Afferhide each walked to load the bases. Ryan Kelly walked to score Ugla, and then Carson Dollar also drew a walk to bring in Newell for a 3-3 tie, and that set the stage for Mullinax, who had the game-winning RBI. So a thriller at North Cobb. There's one more game played there. Okay, well, all right, so this was another significant result. Parkview's long time is retiring after this season. They've already hired his replacement, and what a better way to finish it. In his coaching finale, they played their rival Brookwood, and they won the game on PKs. So Danny Connect is going out a winner. Unfortunately, his Parkview boys soccer team won't be heading to the playoffs. They defeated rival Brookwood 1-0 on PKs after the teams played through a scoreless battle of 5 forks through regulation overtime at Parkview on Friday. Although the scoreboard was in favor of the home team due to the point system used by the GHSA soccer board, Brookwood won the trophy of 5 forks because they beat the Panthers earlier in the season 3-0. Due to that loss and the standings in the region, the Panthers season was ended short of the state playoffs, so that's tough. They won the game, but because it was just a back and forth, home and home, they lost through the goals margin, and so Brookwood snuck in as the number 4 seed. But he did go out a victor. He has more than 300 career wins, and he has won state titles as a coach at Parkview, Brookwood, and Grayson during a long-time career. He also coached at Duluth, which is his alma mater. Let's go ahead. We'll take one more quick break, thank our sponsors, and then close it out on the final segment.
Hey, does it matter if this leaks?
It don't matter to me. Can't see it from my house.
Illegal use of hands and proper training.
GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com has 14 different highly skilled trades with tuition-free training in our certified apprenticeship programs to train you the right way. Find your career at GeorgiaConstructionCareers.com.
All right, welcome back, guys. So the final segment, one area in baseball that I want to put a spotlight on heading into this week is going to be Area 6 and Class 7A. And it has been, without a doubt, the deepest and I'd say most evenly matched region I've seen anywhere in the state this season. Who is going to get that top seed? It is going to come down to this week. So you have South Forsyth, Lambert, and Forsyth Central all tied for first at 8-5 in the area. Lambert has actually won 5 straight to now climb back into a tie for first place. So you got 3 teams tied for first, and then 2 teams tied for fourth, West Forsyth and Denmark. Denmark, I think, they've lost 2 straight, and then West Forsyth has lost 1. West Forsyth, out of all those teams, has been the highest ranked at any point of the season. They've since dropped out. They split the previous matchups with every single one of those teams I just mentioned, and now it's these game 3s, and they keep alternating as well. So they'll win one, and then they'll lose one. But I think at this point, Lambert's probably the hottest team, but then Forsyth Central, South Forsyth, they're all tied. They're all going to be playing each other this week, and it is going to be a de facto playoff, a play-in series in every single one of those games, because even the teams we're talking about that are tied for first, if they lose back-to-back games this week, they might find themselves in a tiebreaker, and it could leave them out of the playoffs. So definitely some high stakes out of Area 6 in Region 7, and it is going to be very exciting. All right, so this is the other game I was looking for at Truist Park, and this is Buford and Mount Perrin, the two powerhouses. They played, and it was a tie, 3-3. They played on Saturday. North Cobb Christian played on Friday. Down 2-0 in the bottom of the 6th inning, Buford tied the score on an RBI bunt from Nate Taylor that scored Aiden Lockett, and then a sacrifice fly from Blake Russell brought in Madden Young. Now, Mount Perrin scored once in the top of the 7th before Buford tied it at 3-3 in the bottom half that saw Lockett get hit by a pitch, and then Sam Humphrey drew a walk to load the bases with 2 outs. Ian Chaffin following with a single to score the tying run, but Lockett was thrown out at home plate to end the inning, and since the designated time had expired, they called it in a tie. So it sounds like that was just an absolute thriller. Obviously, not every classification is going to get to play at state championships in Truist Park. 7A will be there, so Buford might have a chance to get back there. But that was a great matchup right there. And so that one ends in a tie, and then North Cobb Christian won its matchup. They remain undefeated in that ballpark. All right, so let's look at these spring scrimmages real quick. And it was very, very exciting, and I'm sure we'll talk a lot about it tomorrow on Underrated and Overlooked. Najee was on site for the Georgia Tech one. I watched the UGA one, and we'll talk about it right now. I think with UGA, I was looking at this year's recruiting class, and I always have a personal bias because I want to see them recruit the best receivers. I get jealous when I see teams like LSU with some of the ridiculously talented receiving corps they've had in recent seasons. Same with your Alabamas, a lot of other programs that just have had like 3 deep, where they'll have 3 guys that are all just like 6'2", 195, 200, and they all can just make incredible plays, consistency. But watching that, I am not worried about that Georgia receiving corps whatsoever. The catches they made were phenomenal, and how great was it to see Sokovie White making big plays, the cast standout that was so exciting to watch this last season. I thought he made plays in that Cartersville game that we broadcasted that honestly they got called back for phantom calls. I don't know where the penalty was. I know that was a very controversial game. Cartersville ended up coming in, but Sokovie had this one play. I think they called it back for a holding, but he was double covered. Yeah, he out jumped the safety, beat the cornerback, somehow landed on his feet, caught himself with his other hand as he tucked it in, and then took it in for a touchdown, and they called that play back. It's one of the most impressive plays I saw all season long. And so seeing him show up to campus, obviously this receiving corps, there's going to be a lot of new pieces in it, but I thought he proved he is special. He can make the big plays. His yards after catch are very dangerous. He's got outstanding moves. He can do the spin moves. He can cut on a dime. And I think that is going to be a player that's going to have a big impact at UGA. So let's look at their scrimmage real quick. It fittingly ended in a tie. It was very exciting. So after last season, UGA lost 11 starters. They had some big holes to fill. Luckily, they were able to secure the #1 recruiting class last year, and we saw some of them already stand out. The biggest standouts they're talking about right now, fierce defense in that game. Obviously, that secondary is completely loaded. Malachi Starks, one of the big-time returners. You saw Michael Williams. It looks like he's changed positions. The former Hardaway stand and Georgia Elite Class competitor. You saw Lawson Lucky, the Norcross grad. He had 2 catches, and It looks like he is going to be stepping up into a bigger role this season. The other freshman standouts, KJ Bolden, he took the field for the majority of the day. And I think the only criticism I saw from him, they're saying he obviously is really going to be able to play all out 100% speed. But we saw a lot of them. It was a great performance by them, but I give my hat to Jacoby White for making a heck of a play.